Time for the second season for the NBA. In the East, we have number 1 Atlanta versus number 8 Brooklyn, who just squeezed past Indiana last night to get in the playoff picture. Number 2, my boy LeBron and the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Boston Celtics, who are 7. 3, my team that I identify with being a Chicago kid, the Bulls versus 6th Milwaukee. That should be a little interesting rivalry. Milwaukee only like an hour and a half north, really, of Chicago. Then number 4, Toronto versus 5, Washington. That should be very interesting. I know those two teams were kind of picked to finish 1-2 if the Cavaliers never got it going and Rose got hurt. Was Toronto and Washington. But I think they both have had kind of disappointing seasons.
Absolutely.
And in the West, we have number 1 Golden State, the talk of the season, really, versus number 8 New Orleans, who snuck past Oklahoma City on the last day of the season, which I'm a little salty about just because I want to see Oklahoma City and just to reward Russell Westbrook, for his fantastic season. Then we have number 2, James Harden and the Houston Rockets versus number 7, the Dallas Mavericks. The 3 seed LA Clippers, a little surprised to see them at a 3 seed versus number 6, the San Antonio Spurs, who was my champion pick, and we'll see if I'm still going with them. We'll get to the predictions here in a little bit, but I'm a little surprised to see them at as far low as 6 as well. Then number 4 is the Portland Trailblazers. I know a team you like with Damian Lillard.
Absolutely.
And number 5, Memphis, who I think has slipped just a little bit here at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy that Portland-Memphis matchup because, like you said, I like Portland especially because of my boy Damian Lillard's on the team. And then if we remember, Memphis was a team basically the whole year that I was you basically, raising 2 fists for saying that they're the best team in the league, and now they're playing each other. And I'm not really too excited about that. But I definitely got to agree with you, though, as far as Toronto and Washington. Like I was telling my dad earlier today, and I was telling a few other people, I even think I put it on Twitter.
Yeah.
The Washington Wizards, along with the Charlotte Hornets, who didn't even make the playoffs, are definitely my 2 biggest disappointments for the season.
Okay.
The Wizards have too much talent, and for them to be a 5 seed is just horrible. I mean, you see Cleveland, they had a struggle period, and they got it together. The Bulls have struggled through injuries the whole year, and Atlanta came out of nowhere. The one constant, besides the Brad Beal injury early, it has been the Wizards. They have the roster. I just don't understand why everything's not coming together for them.
Yeah. For me, it's kind of interesting to see the Bulls still stick at 3 because when Derrick Rose went down with that meniscus tear, everybody kind of thought, oh, this is it. The Bulls are going to probably make the playoffs, but they're going to slip to a 7 or an 8. Probably have to play, like a Cleveland or Atlanta or something and go out early. But they really came together. I think last night kind of proved their season is they were down big to Atlanta. I saw that when we were at B-Dubs last night. I was there for pretty much the Hawks game, but also I had my eye on the Bulls game during the commercials, as well as the U.S.-Mexico game, 2-0, all I got to say about that game. But I was watching the Bulls. They were down big, and I kind of looked, and the third quarter came along, and the Bulls just slowly came back, and they ended up beating Atlanta last night. And I saw after the game on the Sportsnet Central, which I was watching after the Hawks post-game, and they said that Derrick Rose did not play at all in the second half, and that's when the Bulls made a big comeback, which I found very interesting.
Yeah, I believe he didn't play due to leg soreness or something, but he said there's nothing really to worry about, which I would agree with. It's probably not there, because I did see that there's no minute restriction for him once the playoffs start, so it's definitely exciting. We're in the Illinois, I was going to say Chicagoland area. No, we're not. That's where we're from. We're from the Chicagoland area.
And in about 2.5 weeks, we'll be back in the Chicagoland area.
Yeah. And so, but it's definitely good to see Derrick Rose back in the playoffs. The last time he actually played was during the
2012, I think.
Yeah, when he tore his ACL, I think, in the actual playoffs. Yeah, so it's definitely nice to see him back. And I want to jump back over to the West. You talk about the Spurs being at 6. I feel like that matchup is actually the best matchup of the first round, Spurs and Clippers.
Yeah.
Just because if the Spurs actually won yesterday, they were going to be the 2 seed.
Okay.
The only reason they fell so far is because they lost, and then Houston and Memphis both won. So that just speaks to how tight the top 6 seeds of the West are. And so I definitely think the Spurs and the Clippers, I think actually they said had the 2 best records in the West since the All-Star break. Okay. I believe they're both like 18-7. The Spurs might be 18-8 now or something like that. But besides yesterday, the Spurs hadn't lost all month really before last night. So I definitely think that's a good matchup, and I could possibly see the Spurs, getting back to the finals, which is amazing. The last time a 6 seed even won a championship was the Houston Rockets in '95, and that's when they repeated after winning in '94. So who knows? They might be able to do it again.
All right, so let's go ahead and go through. Let's hear who you got winning each playoff matchup here in the first round. This should be pretty We'll start in the East. This should be pretty straightforward. Atlanta versus Brooklyn. How many games?
Atlanta, I'll go Atlanta in 5.
All right, I'm going with Atlanta as well, obviously. I'm going to give Brooklyn just a little bit of credit. I'll go 6 for me. I don't think it's a very it's almost kind of like how the Heat and Pacers went 6 games in the conference finals last year. That was not a competitive 6-game series at all, so I'm going with that for Atlanta. How about next, Cleveland and Boston?
Cleveland. Oh, okay. Cleveland and Boston. Cleveland and 4. That's a sweep.
Yeah, I'm going to go. Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Damn. I think it's hard to sweep people in the playoffs, so I'm just going to go ahead and go basically. I would not be surprised necessarily if Cleveland swept Boston, but I think, maybe there's one game that Boston could probably kind of take, and I'll go Cleveland in 5. Next, we got the Chicago Bulls versus the Milwaukee Bucks.
I'm going to go with Chicago in 5, but I think it's going to be a tough contested series. I think most of the games will end up being close, but I'll go with Chicago in 5.
I'm gonna have to agree with you, Chicago. I think too it's a tough series. I'm going Chicago in 6 in this one over the Milwaukee Bucks, but it should be a good, very good series. Excuse me, I'm stumbling over my words a little bit. Yeah, I got Chicago in 6. I don't think who is it? Jabari Parker's not gonna return for this, right? He's out for the entire season.
Yeah.
All right, I think maybe if he was playing, it could be a little bit different, maybe a 7-game series even, but I got Chicago in 6 in this one. Then here's that matchup you were talking about, 4 Toronto versus 5 Washington.
I'm going to go with the Wizards in 6.
Really?
I mean, they may end up falling, but I feel like the Wizards, their side of the bracket, if we actually look at the way this is set up, it actually is kind of in their favor. I think the Wizards in 6, they're going to be able to pull it out.
Yeah, honestly, this probably is not a very entertaining show because we keep agreeing with each other. I'm going Wizards as well in 7 games over Toronto. I think it's a tough place to play there at the Air Canada Center. Some great fans. The Maple Leafs and Raptors both play there, and they love their sports up there in Toronto. So I think that some little home court can help the Raptors, but in the end, I think there's just too much talent for the Wizards, and that gets them past Toronto. That I think, honestly, the past couple of years has really been an overachieving team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shifting focus to the Western Conference, first round, obviously, we have 1 Golden State versus 8 New Orleans. That's basically Golden State versus, I'd say, Anthony Davis at this point.
I feel like Anthony Davis will be able to get 1 win out, so I'll say Golden State in 5.
Yeah, I agree. Golden State in 5, once again. 2 Houston versus 7 Dallas. A little Texas matchup right there.
Yeah, this is going to be tough because I don't know what Dallas team is going to show up. And Houston, to me, has been overachieving this whole year. Okay. It's amazing that they're a 2 seed. They don't have Patrick Beverly in this series. Dallas, they said they're a little, iffy with Chandler Parsons. He's been hurt as of recently. I don't know how much Dwight is going to play. I don't know what Terrence Jones is doing. So I was going to say Houston in 7.
I was thinking about that. I kind of agree with you. This is going to be a better series than people think, a better series than it looks like on paper. I think maybe even Dallas takes a 2-1 lead in the series at one point. I think they're going to hit Houston early and hit them real hard early, maybe with, like a little sucker punch if you want to call it that. And I think, honestly, they take a 2-1 series lead, but I'm going to have to go Houston in 6 games. They make a quick comeback, and there's just too much talent there. Harden, possible MVP. We'll talk about that, too, in a little bit, the MVP race. So if you want to hear about that, definitely stick around. But James Harden, Dwight Howard defensively. I know Josh Smith has started to play well finally for the Rockets, and they just have too much talent, and they played too well this season. I got Houston in a very competitive 6 games. Okay. The next matchup, we have the one you talked about, your favorite, 3 Los Angeles Clippers versus 6 San Antonio Spurs.
I'm going to go Spurs in 6. And I would not be surprised if it goes 5, but I just want to get I don't know, maybe the Clippers somehow squeeze an extra game out of there, but I'm going to go Spurs in 6.
Yeah, I've been riding the Spurs all season long. Well, really, the last 2 seasons I've been riding the Spurs bandwagon, even against my boy LeBron in the finals. I'm going Spurs again in 6 games over LA. And just to talk about the Clippers in general, not even the fact they're matched up with San Antonio, which is the team I love, especially come playoff time. Just the Clippers, they're just, I don't know, there's a team I talk about a lot in hockey being built for the playoffs or I don't know, built for the regular season, but this is the one case kind of in basketball. This is a 2K team, I guess is the basketball version of this. Fun to play with in 2K. They're always going to be a dominant team in 2K, but real life, that doesn't necessarily translate to wins. Like, this is a team, they've struggled in the playoffs before. We all know that. Chris Paul especially kind of has struggled in the playoffs. Him and Carmelo Anthony are kind of those 2 guys now, veteran superstar players that really have not had much playoff success at all. And that goes with the Clippers, too, in general. I just don't like to pick them when the playoffs come at all. And you add that to the fact that I love the Spurs. They've been my champion all season long. And I'm honestly just kind of, I guess, ruined the surprise at this point. I'm probably going to stick with them to win it all this year still, even though they're a 6 seed. Yeah. I got San Antonio in 6 games in this playoff matchup. And the final first-round matchup for us is 4 Portland versus 5 Memphis. This is a real tough one.
This is a tough one. I don't know who to go with here. I mean, shoot, Memphis has fallen off as of recently, but Portland has so many injuries, man. It's crazy. Nick Batum got hurt last week. LaMarcus has been in and out of the lineup. Aaron Aflalo has a shoulder strain. He's been out for like 2 weeks. Oh, this is going to hurt me. I'm going to say Memphis and 6.
You stole my thunder. We have not disagreed on one playoff matchup. I'm going Memphis in 7 games over Portland. Portland's another team, too. I like what I saw for them last year in the playoffs. But this regular season, I really think they took a step back. I kind of expected a little bit more from them. LaMarcus Aldridge really disappointed me. Damian Lillard, I don't want to say he disappointed me. He did show flashes of being a real elite player. But I just expected him to take a bigger step forward this season than he ended up taking during the regular season. And I liked Memphis all year. They were kind of right there 1-2 with Golden State for a long time since they've fallen off the last kind of third of the season. I think Memphis is a team that is built for the playoffs. What I've been telling everybody, even my roommates last night, we got into this argument. They really don't understand the difference. A lot of people don't between playoff basketball and regular season basketball, especially in the NBA. They're 2 completely different games. Playoff basketball, I don't want to say guys don't care during the regular season, but they care in the playoffs. We'll say that. The game slows down, becomes much more of a half-court game. The intensity is 10 times more. And I think, too, if you're looking at that Golden State-Memphis argument, I think Memphis is much better built for the playoffs than Golden State is because these run-and-gun teams, they don't win in the playoffs. They just don't. It's a team that either has superstars, like, the Heat of the past couple years, or the Lakers or the Bulls, or it's a slow-down half-court team like the Spurs that we've seen, or Dallas in 2011. So those are the teams that win in the playoffs, and I see Memphis is just built for the playoffs right now. I know Marc Gasol is still balling. So I got Memphis in a very competitive 7-game series. That might be your best first-round matchup, I think.
Yeah.
So after that, we would have I don't have the tree in front of me. I just have the matchups. Who would we have in the East?
Atlanta versus Washington.
Okay, that's
if we go with who we got so far. So Atlanta versus Washington, who you got?
I'm going to have to go Atlanta in a very competitive 7-game series that goes down to the wire, just because I do not like what I've seen from I should go Washington. The talent and everything says Washington, but from what I've seen, these are 2 opposite teams. Atlanta completely overachieving, completely on fire. Washington just kind of limping into the playoffs. I'm going Atlanta in a buzzer-beater Game 7. Atlanta wins.
Well, because I am partially an insane individual, I'm going to go with the Wizards in 7.
All right. So
there goes our disagreement time.
Right,
Wizards, come on. Eastern Conference Finals, Wizards, come on.
Then that leaves us, with the Cavs and Bulls?
Yep.
Well, that's my least favorite playoff matchup of all time.
That's a good one.
Because that splits my heart. But I'm going to have to go Cleveland in 6 in that one. I think they've got it together. And I don't like what I've seen. I don't think Derrick Rose is Derrick Rose. And even if he is Derrick Rose, we've seen in the past with LeBron in Miami, he shuts down Derrick Rose and he wins that matchup every time. I think, too, Kyrie has played amazing. Looks like Kevin Love's finally starting to fit in at least a little bit. The defense is not where it needs to be for Cleveland, but it's getting better. And I think, you got LeBron James, best player on the planet. This is playoff time. He's the veteran. He's won rings before. I think LeBron, he's proven he can win a playoff series by himself now. He's got some help from Kyrie. J.R. Smith, he's been playing great recently. I think Cleveland wins in 6 games.
I'll go Cleveland in 5. I want to pick the Bulls to win a series like that, but like you said, every time they're matched up against LeBron, Rose versus LeBron does not lose those series. So I got to go with Cleveland in 5.
It could be, once again, what we've seen where the Bulls win Game 1 and all the Bulls fans, all my friends are like, yeah, we got them, Game 1, big Game 1. Then they get swept. They essentially get swept. So I don't think that's going to happen this time. I do like what I've seen from the Bulls. They've got a lot of talent. Maybe Derrick Rose could show some flashes, help them win a game, maybe 2. But in the end, I just like what I've seen from Cleveland, really. Ever since the All-Star break or even New Year's, I've really liked what I've seen. I think Kyrie Irving's really had an underrated season as well. He's been great, especially that Spurs game. That was incredible what he did. He showed some great flashes offensively. I think LeBron has also helped him defensively, too. He's not a great defender yet, but I think he's made improvements. So I like the Cavs a lot, especially in a weak Eastern Conference. And the Bulls are just banged up, too, and underachieved this year as well. So I'm going Cleveland to make it to the conference finals. That leaves us with Golden State versus Memphis, which is a big matchup. And you know what? I've said it all year. I'm going Memphis over Golden State in 6 games.
I agree with you 100%. Exactly in 6 games. That's what I got. I got Memphis over Golden State. I keep telling people Golden State is going to hurt them the way that they play. They're actually a very undersized team. If you look at them, Bogut, you can't count on him to be healthy. But even if he is, he's the only big guy besides they really have because Draymond Green is starting. I feel like Gasol and Zebo are going to end up killing them inside. So I got to go And Mike Conley's not a bad defender. You got Mike Conley on Steph Curry, and you got Tony Allen on Klay Thompson. I feel like that's a great matchup for Memphis, so I'm going to go Memphis in 6.
Yeah, I agree. I've been having this argument with people all season long. Everybody's been, especially I go back to my roommates, they're kind of, I'd say, your average basketball fan. They really only see the Sports Center highlights. They don't see all the other stuff that goes into a game of basketball, the defensive side of stuff, working without the ball. These are also the guys who say LeBron James is overrated, by the way, and not a top 10 all-time player. So I just thought I'd let you know who we're dealing with right now.
Okay.
But a lot of people, and to just whether it's in the CAF or whoever, I've talked to some people about it. Everybody's distracted. Everybody's riding Golden State this year. They're distracted by the Steph Curry shooting, especially, and just they're a fun team to watch. Definitely a team that's easy to like. But like we said, I kind of said it earlier. You just said it now. Memphis is a team that's built for the playoffs. Golden State is not. The game slows down. Memphis is very good at slowing down the game, and I think they have the matchups with Golden State. They're really that one team that just matches up, like you said, like Mike Conley on Steph Curry, Tony Allen on Klay Thompson, and they're going to get killed by Zebo and Marcus Gasol in the post. They're going David Lee, if he's healthy, and Andrew Bogut, if he's healthy, are going to get destroyed. I like the energy that Draymond Green brings for Golden State, but he's not big enough to bang with those guys in the post. He's not, despite how hard he tries, and I respect the guy a lot. But I think Memphis just really matches up with them well. They really do, and I got Memphis in 6 games going to the conference finals and ending this dream run for Golden State.
Yep.
And that leaves us with what? Houston
and Spurs.
And the Spurs. And I think, honestly, this is a good matchup, a lot of fun. But this is where the team basketball comes in for San Antonio. We saw him really make LeBron struggle. It didn't help last year in the finals. LeBron really got no help. But still, we've seen him make LeBron struggle from time to time in the finals the past 2 years. I think they do kind of the same thing to James Harden.
Absolutely.
He's going to I think he's going to get frustrated and really shoot his teams out of some games. And I'm a James Harden fan, so I like the guy saying this. Got to respect the beard. But I think San Antonio wins, and we'll go 6 games again. The talent from Houston gets him a game or two, but just Pop, honestly, he's my finals MVP from last year's Greg Popovich, and just come playoff time, the guy's a magician.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Spurs in 5 for basically the reasons you said. I actually think Harden is going to be able to do better than he did last year. Last year when we saw him play Portland, he shot horrible in the playoffs. Yeah. I think this year he's actually going to be able to put together some good playoff games, which will be the first time he's doing that as the number 1 option. But I feel like the Spurs overall, just as a team offensively, and just Houston, their problem right now is going to be just, I think, the injuries. I think we're going to see that. That's why I said them barely getting past Dallas in 7 games.
Yeah.
I think the Spurs are going to be able to be able to take care of them with ease. So I'm going to say Spurs in 5.
All right, so now we got the conference finals. I think we have the same matchup in the West and a slightly different one in the East. Yeah. You have Cleveland
Wizards
and Washington.
Yeah.
So who do you have winning that one?
Oh, man, I really don't want the Cavs to get to the finals. But, I mean, hey, this is not really about what I want.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go with Cavs in 6.
Yeah, I got Atlanta and Cleveland, and I'm going to go the same. I'm going to go Cleveland in 5, actually. I really like the way the Cavs match up with Atlanta. I just don't think Atlanta has the talent to play with them. They can hang with pretty much anybody else in the East, but I think talent alone is going to run Atlanta out of the gym for Cleveland, and they don't have the playoff experience like a team like the Spurs do or even the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
So I think Cleveland wins this one pretty easily. I think LeBron has a heck of a series. He goes off a couple times. Kyrie has a great shooting series. He's going to have a huge game here or there as well. I think Cleveland in 5 for me. So, and with the Cavs, honestly, everybody's like, "Oh, you like LeBron? You're just a homer rooting for LeBron." I don't want to pick him. Like every year, I don't want to pick LeBron because everybody's like, "Oh, you're biased. You're biased." I mean, you look at the matchups; it's hard to not pick
exactly.
Cavaliers. Like you can't. I really didn't want to pick Cleveland, but you can't
really pick anybody else. And if you want to pick somebody, who you going to pick? The Bulls, and then they're playing Cleveland, and we see how that matchup is going.
Yeah.
And nobody knows what Atlanta is at this point. I don't know what they are. That's why I had them losing in the second round. I think Cleveland just. LeBron, yes, he just by himself, he overpowers a lot of teams. But like you said, J.R. Smith's been playing great. Since they got Mozgov, they've been fine.
Yeah.
Kyrie has been balling. The only weak spot or questionable spot you could really say is Kevin Love, and that hasn't really hurt them so far.
Yeah, I know he had a huge game last night. He had a great shooting night last night.
Exactly. So, I mean, when LeBron or Kyrie really isn't out there, we see Kevin Love gets back to doing what he usually does. So, I feel like that is going. I said that Kevin Love or Kyrie is going to hurt them, but I think that's not going to hurt them in the actual East because the East is not strong enough to really affect them.
Yeah, so go ahead, call me a homer if you want to, just a bandwagon LeBron fan, but try and give me an argument about why Cleveland will not win the East. I dare you at that point. On the other side of the bracket, we have San Antonio, Memphis for the Western Conference. Who you got? That's an interesting matchup right there. That's real interesting.
Last time they were in the conference finals, I remember the Spurs swept them.
Yeah,
and I think that was 2 years ago. I really want to pick Memphis just because, like I said, I've been riding with them all year, but the Spurs are on fire right now, and it's hard to beat a team that clicks right before the playoffs start. That's one thing you want to do is click, and then on top of that, they have the experience.
Yeah.
They know what they got to do to get back. They've been rested. I don't really think anybody is tired. Tony Parker just started playing well at the right time, so you can't say he's exhausted. I got to go with Spurs in 5. I think it's going to be hard. I think that there'll be tough games. It might be maybe 1 or 2 blowouts in the series, but I got to go with Spurs in 5. So I got Spurs, Cavs, final.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of want to pick Memphis just to be a little different. Once again, I know a lot of people. A big reason why all my friends, they no longer hate LeBron. They're like, I just don't want him to make it. I want to see something new. Same with the Spurs. It's a little boring, honestly, to see him in there again. I want to pick Memphis. I can't. I got to go San Antonio in 6 games. A good 6 games. I think Memphis has more experience than the last time they faced the Spurs in the playoffs. Have a little bit more talent. They've really developed well as a team, but San Antonio, like you said, the hot team coming in the playoffs, you always got to roll with them, and this is the Spurs. Yeah. This is the Spurs we're talking about, people. Like, it's the playoff time. It's Greg Popovich, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, even Manu Ginobili, Kawhi Leonard. I cannot pick against San Antonio in the playoffs. I have Spurs in 6 games right here, so that sets up for both of us an NBA Finals matchup, a rematch of the past 3 in a sense. LeBron James versus the Spurs, the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Spurs. A rematch, I guess, therefore, of the 07 finals, but a much different look than 07. What do you got in this one? I think we're both going to have the same outcome.
Yeah, I definitely have the Spurs. The question is, how many games?
Yep, definitely.
I know they took care of the Heat in 5 last year, and it looked like it was fairly with ease, but I feel like LeBron has this is when I feel like Kevin Love and Kyrie is going to end up hurting them.
Okay.
I feel like just because they not only being in the playoffs, but being on the finals, that's a big stage. I got to go with 5 again. The Cavs have a lot of guys who either have not performed well or have not performed in the playoffs if you take LeBron off that team.
Yeah.
J.R. Smith's history with the Spurs when he used to play with the Nuggets is horrible when he was in the playoffs. Kyrie, Kevin Love, we know they haven't even been to this stage. So I think the games will be closer than last year. So we're not going to say, the Spurs ran away with the series. But I got to go with Spurs in 5. So Spurs being the champions again.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. I'm not going to go 5. I'm going to go 6. I think LeBron pulls a game out of his butt once, and then the Cavs just play well as a team in another game. Yeah. But I got Spurs in 6 and pretty easy 6 games, honestly. They're not stressed all that too much. And I kind of agree. I just don't think it's the Cavs' time. LeBron will win a ring with Cleveland. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen.
I feel like they're going to get better as time.
They honestly just need experience. Maybe a couple more pieces if this Kevin Love thing isn't going to work out. But I'm pretty sure it's a matter of when, not if, LeBron wins at least maybe even just 1 ring with the Cavs. It's probably going to happen. I just don't really see it this year. I just don't think it's the time. They're not ready yet. LeBron's ready. Everybody else is not. And so I got to go with San Antonio in this one. And my roommates also have told me, I hope you know this, that LeBron will never win a ring in Cleveland. That's a foregone conclusion. And Dwayne Wade, right now, Dwayne Wade, that shot 1 of 14 in the finals, and Chris Bosh, who might not be able to play basketball, are both better than Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love as well.
Yeah, not at this point. No, they are not. But okay.
So I hope you know what I'm dealing with back at home. I'm letting you know.
Yeah, you're dealing with a lot of pain, a lot of people being biased.
Yes.
I understand. It's okay. They just need to heal. They need some healing, some woosahs. They need to take some deep breathing inside and get over all that hate.
But yeah, I guess at the end of the day, that's what I got for you is San Antonio in 6 games, Finals MVP. If you got to choose it, who's it going to be? It's going to be from the Spurs, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, will it be Kawhi again? I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I don't know. I kind of want to say Tony Parker, but I don't really know how that's going to go.
I'm going Tim Duncan for me personally. I still love Timmy.
Yeah,
I love Timmy a lot.
He might. I
think the matchups they would have too for him in the finals, in the playoffs in general, but in the finals, he'd be matched up with like a Mozgov or even Kevin Love. Kevin Love is a horrible defender.
Yeah, so
horrible,
you're right.
Especially post defender. I think Duncan just eats him up.
Yeah, I got to go with Tim Duncan too because he knows, and we still seen that he knows how to play well during the series. And games when he has to show out, he still is able to do that. Yeah. So I definitely. Well, I mean, even with the Cavs, we have them losing. It's amazing that throughout all the crap that we done heard about them this season, that they still able to get to the finals. That's still amazing with a first year construction, like you said. The problems in the locker room with Kevin Love, supposedly a coach who people say can't really coach. LeBron is coaching the team and all that. And if they're still able to make it to the finals, then what is that saying about the rest of the league?
Yeah. And 2, for me personally, just being a LeBron fan, that's another reason why I love the guy. I mean, there's very few other players I think that could handle and just lead the team through this situation. That's why, for me personally, he's the best leader in the NBA, and this is just another reason why. We're going to go ahead and take our first break. We've been talking for about 40 minutes straight here. We need a quick break. We're still going to be talking some more NBA on the other side of this break. We got MVP talk, as well as the rest of the awards and kind of our final thoughts from the regular season. and some, I guess, other thing. We already made our predictions, but some other things we're looking forward to in the playoffs. It's me and Darius right here coming at you live at C2 Sports, I guess, today, right here on 88.3 The Dog.